When we talk about art, we often think of paintings and sculptures. But what about the spaces we live in, gather in, and worship in? Architecture is one of the most enduring and public forms of art. It doesn't just keep out the rain, it reflects who we are, our values, our power, our faith, and even our dreams for the future. Let's begin with the basics. Picture two vertical posts with a horizontal beam across the top. That's the post and lintel system, one of humanity's earliest construction techniques. Simple, but effective. Then came the arch, an invention that changed everything. Instead of collapsing inward, the weight is carried outward, allowing much larger spaces to be built. Extend the arch, and you get a barrel vault. Add engineering genius, and you have the dome, a spherical ceiling that seems to float above you, like in Rome's Pantheon. These aren't just technical solutions. They're creative leaps, turning raw materials into spaces that inspire awe. Now, let's step inside where people lived. In Çatalhöyük, one of the earliest permanent settlements in Turkey, homes were clustered tightly together, with doors on the rooftops instead of the street. It was both practical and protective. Or take Skara Brae in Scotland, where people built stone houses partly underground to keep out the bitter northern winds. As societies grew, so did ambition. Roman villas had atrium courtyards and private gardens, designed not just for living, but for displaying wealth and status. And centuries later, Frank Lloyd Wright's Fallingwater would reimagine the house entirely. Instead of separating nature from home, he made the waterfall part of the living room. It's a reminder that architecture can be philosophy in stone, glass, and water. Architecture also creates places for people to come together. The Ziggurat of Ur in Mesopotamia was a man-made mountain, lifting temples closer to the heavens. It wasn't just a religious space, it was the heart of the city, a place of governance and community life. The Roman Forum worked the same way, a civic hub with temples, courts, and markets. You can almost imagine the buzz of voices in those colonnades. And think of the National Mall today in Washington, D.C., from presidential inaugurations to public marches. It functions just as ancient forums did, as the symbolic heart of the nation. Commerce, too, has left its mark on architecture. In ancient Athens, the Stoa of Attalos provided covered walkways lined with shops. The Romans built storefronts directly into their apartments. Jump to the 19th century steel frame construction made it possible to design department stores with vast display windows, like Louis Sullivan's Carson Pirie Scott store in Chicago. Suddenly, architecture wasn't just about shelter. It was about selling. Then came the skyscrapers. The Chrysler Building, with its Art Deco crown gleaming against the sky, celebrated American industrial power. Half a world away, Malaysia's Petronas Towers rose as a symbol of Islamic culture and global business. These buildings aren't just places to shop or work, they're icons of ambition. Perhaps no buildings tell us more about a culture than those built for worship. In Egypt, temples like Edfu led visitors step by step from the public to the sacred, ending in a chamber only priests could enter. The Greeks built temples like the Parthenon, not as congregational spaces, but as perfect homes for their gods, embodying harmony and proportion. The Romans revolutionized sacred space with the Pantheon. Stand under its vast dome and look up at the oculus, the open eye to the heavens, and you feel both grounded and transcendent. Later, Gothic cathedrals like Chartres reached for the sky with soaring spires and stained glass that turned sunlight into theology. Islamic mosques, with their Qibla walls oriented toward Mecca and soaring minarets, speak to unity and prayer across continents. And in the 20th century, E. Fay Jones's Thorn Crown Chapel in Arkansas used wood and glass to turn the surrounding forest into the sacred, showing us that worship doesn't always mean stone walls and stained glass. Architecture is where form meets function, but also where culture meets imagination. From the first shelters to the tallest skyscrapers, architecture is a record of human values, our need for safety, beauty, faith, and community. So next time you step into a building, ask yourself, what story is this place telling about its builders, its people, and maybe even about you?